This song, this is my new title. This song is my new identity. Because now I am handicapped physically, but thank God, mentally, I am still strong. Still, I can be able to compose and perform.
Honorable members, may I welcome everybody back to the session as we resume. I did indicate before the break that I had exhausted my list of honorable members who did raise their tags for intervention on the debates on the State of the Nation address delivered by His Excellency the President. So I have exhausted my list. And I think it's now time for me to invite honorable ministers present to respond to the issues raised regarding their different portfolios. Now, Honorable Minister of Local Government, please, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for calling me first. I think that since we are local people, that is why I'm called first, to speak the mind of the local people of the Gambia. Honorable members, I also thank you for having time to listen to respond to some of the concerns that you raise as far as local government and religious affairs are concerned. Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to congratulate you on the leadership quality that you displayed during my presence yesterday and today. And on my behalf, I want you to extend the same congratulations to the honorable members of this august body. Madam Speaker, last year, I think this is the third session of the year. Last year, sometime around this time, we have had members of this national body, most of them coming fresh on holidays from Somaliland, and they have been advocating for a support for the independence of Somaliland. Unfortunately, this year, because of the pandemic, they could not resort to their holiday resort, which is in Somaliland. I wish and I hope next year, this time, things will be very easy and there will be no lockdown so that they will be able to go and refresh themselves in Somaliland. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I will now want to go straight to an issue, a concern raised by the member for Brikama South. That's the famous Dimbaya border point. Yes, it is a concern to him and everybody around there. So it is a concern to us as a ministry and a government as a whole. But I think last session, during the question and answer session here, I did try to deal with the issue. And I said there are sensitive information that I am privy to, and it will not be wise to use the floor of this house, since we are on live, to release some of those information. And I will still want to maintain that. But nonetheless, we are prepared to share those information with any member who is so interested. And hopefully, when things are eased, I'll be able to engage the Select Committee on Local Governance to share with them what I know. But for the time being, I think we have, I said last session that we sent the governor and even my permanent secretary was to sensitize the community to exercise restraint, as the issue was between two states. And during our last presidential summit in Dakar, we had agreed on a program of activities vis-a-vis the border between Senegal and Gambia are concerned. There are activities to be undertaken before actual demarcation, and that has been stalled by the lockdown as a result of that the border between the two nations were closed, so we could not proceed. And another point is, on the southern side of the between Senegal and Gambia, there needs to be a demining, which also is hampering our activity around that border. But some of the incidents that took place between the security forces of these two nations was reported to the authority in the Gambia, and I am sure the Minister of Defense is here. When he takes the floor, he will be able to brief you as to whether he has spoken to his counterpart in Dakar. And he also talked about the real estate agents' regulations. And I think I informed this House that we had forced them to come together and be registered, and each and every real estate who was in default have his documents refused to be endorsed. That compelled them to come together, and we at this moment we have formulated regulation which need to be validated for the preparation of a bill to be submitted to this House for enactment. I understand in my absence yesterday before I arrived, there was a request, a concern raised about the functionality of the Lands Commission. This was also highlighted today by some members, including the Banjul South, and I think other members here. Also the Deputy Speaker, also I think he touched on it. Here I will want to remind members, I know you know about it already, because it is an act that you enacted here, creating the Lands Commission. It is, although it's a constitutional requirement, but there is also an act of parliament which defines their functions. And with your permission, I want to read some of those functions to be able to guide you as to their program of activities and what they have done and what they have not done as yet. Madam Speaker, Section 14 of the Act, 14A, the Commission shall advise the Minister on policy matters relating to land administration to ensure strict adherence to those policies and transparency in land allocation. This is internal. That's between the Ministry and the Commission, which is currently happening, is existing. To investigate disputes on land ownership and occupation in any area of the Gambia. This can only happen when there is a complete cadastral mapping of the country. And as at now, the Ministry has formulated a policy to undertake such venture, but our problem is we are still engaging partners locally and externally to be able to finance this activity. Unless that is done, this activity will not be noticed in the country. Subsection C, access land rent and premium for properties within any area in the Gambia. That is also internal. that is between the commission and the ministry and the department, which is also existing. Monitor registration of properties and inspect land registers and records. That's also internal. Be responsible for all matters relating to national boundaries, including monitoring and reporting to the minister, and to perform such other functions as the minister may assign to it. Here, the experience with commissions here is the ad hoc commissions of inquiry, which hold public sittings. That's where people notice that their activity. And this, by the law, this commission is not one of the functions to hold public sittings. That is why the activities are not visible. But they have gone around the country, sensitized the people throughout the country, length and breadth of the Gambia, regionals, and they held discussions with regional governors, the district chiefs, and some of the local authorities there. And they informed them that they are the commission, all disputes should be coming to them for possible investigations. And most of the land disputes that are around in the country are either adjudicated upon or they are before the tribunals. And in those cases, the commission has no authority to interfere with some of those cases. One of the case point is, I will cite one or two. The famous Gunjur branding incident. This is a case, I think the honorable member for Combo South, that is a case that was decided upon in the First Republic, in the 80s. So that is something, it's an unfortunate incident, but nobody from the ministry to the last commission can interfere with that one. But when government saw it necessary, a task force was set up and to be able to determine the boundaries of the disputed area. And I think as at now, the report is being implemented. Also, on the Woolly West, this is a case between two villages there. My honorable elder brother will bear me witness that it was also adjudicated upon in the 80s or early in the 90s, and it is already decided upon. All we could do is to assist to be able to identify the boundary and demarcate it. And he is also aware that my ministry, from the permanent secretary to both directors, deputy permanent secretary, and senior surveyors, were there on 2 occasions. I think they spent about 2 weeks, including the regional governor. And they were able to establish the boundary, and they already established the boundary, they installed the boundary pillars there. Just to be told the following morning that people on the other side at night went and destroyed all those pillars. Now has been an arrest made, people have been charged, and they are before the courts. So as before the result of the end of the trial, there's not much we can do. But we want to maintain that boundary is the boundary, and those pillars will have to be returned there. And the people who did those boundaries will have to pay for the cost of the order. And also in Tumana, I think the member of Tumana also is asking for the same thing. This is also a case that is before the tribunal. A decision was reached at the High Court to restrain both parties from interfering with the land. And some people decide to take the law into their own hands, and that's not much we can do. There are disputes all over in the country, but there is also, we have evidence that most of the disputes have been settled either at our level or the level of the regional administrations. And those are cases that are not populist. Some of them are before the tribunals, and that's the judicial functions of the district tribunal, and they only report to the judiciary, not to the ministry. We also received some concerns about the closure of the Lumos. Yes, this is a very important component of the provincial councils to operate, but we also must bear in mind that most of these Lumos, almost 90% or 100% of them, are all along the borders. And the borders are closed, so even if we open the borders, we are inviting the spread of the COVID-19 into the country. And the purpose of the closure of the borders is to be able to control the spread of the disease. I'm not sure if I have not left anything out, and if I do, if any member raise a concern which I have not addressed, I'm willing to hear and then respond to it. I think, in short, I try to summarize the concerns raised, all land commission related, that I was able to address them together. So I don't know whether something is left out before I take my seat. Since there is no other question raised,
if we, at this point in time, if we start taking clarifications, excuse me, on each intervention or on each response by an honorable or by any honorable minister, I'm afraid we may spend the rest of the evening here. Why don't we allow them to respond, and probably when Her Excellency wraps up, we'll be able to clarify some of those issues that you feel have not been touched. It's just by way of...
Madam Speaker, with your permission,
when we ask for the floor, we have to take it easy. When I finish with him, then somebody else, whoever wants to come on board, can come on board. But I cannot hear 2 or 3 people at the same time. I have said that over and over again. So if you can just allow other honorable ministers to respond to their areas of concern. Yes, sorry.
Madam Speaker, I just want a clarity from you, not from the minister. What you are saying is an element that I want us to understand, because the minister has responded to the deliberation made by the members. Now, I think when there should be any clarification, it is the minister to clarify those issues, because it's the material passing on the ground than under the vice president, because we cannot wait for all the, after all this, the ministers respond, and then the vice will come and then wrap up everything. What are we taking?
Can you also look at this other scenario? Supposing every honorable member wants to seek for clarification from this honorable minister, and then on some other issue related thereto, how do we resolve that? Honorable member for Basse.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, 1997 Constitution, Section 77(3), it reads, with your permission, the Vice President shall answer in the National Assembly for matters affecting the President, and that the President shall be entitled to send a message to the National Assembly to be read on his or her behalf by the Vice President. And the 4 reads, with your permission, the Vice President or a Secretary of State shall, when requested by the National Assembly, report to the National Assembly on any matter concerning a department or other business of the government committed to his or her charge, and shall be entitled to attend and speak in the National Assembly whenever any bill or other matter concerning such department or business is being debated. Honourable Speaker, based on this, His Excellency the President has come and addressed the nation through the Parliament. The Vice President, Her Excellency, has come on behalf of the President. All the MPs have that chance to express their concern about the speech of the President. I would like to propose to my colleagues, if possible, to move a motion on Standing Order 53C, so that we stop the intervention of the ministers and we allow Her Excellency Vice President to answer to issues. All issues raised here, we can still rely on this 77.4 to further engage the honorable ministers at the committee level, so that we can go into detail about the concerns raised here. So this is the motion that I want to move. I so move. Thank you.
moving a motion under 53C.
Seconded.
No, there's a motion on the floor. We have to
The motion has to be
follow
seconded.
we have to follow the process. Pardon?
The motion has to be seconded.
No, before we second it, let us read it and know what it's talking about. What it is
It's
talking
the
about.
recommended. It doesn't need a
The
motion.
motion is a motions without notice, motions which may be made without notice. And it's 53C. The following motions may be made without notice. C, a motion for the adjournment of a debate. Honorable Member for Basse, I'm referring to a motion.
Honorable Basse.
So the Honorable, you see, we have to be sure of what we are doing. You moved the motion, am I right?
Honorable Speaker, if I can be allowed 53K. 53K. K. A motion agreed by the Speaker to be a matter of urgency. With your permission.
To put me on the spot. I think there is need for us to specify. You want to come on the C, or are you coming on the K, asking me to use my discretion to agree to a motion as a matter of urgency? What is the motion? And we need to know what is the urgency.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. The purpose of the motion is to stop the intervention of the ministers and to allow the Vice President, Her Excellency, to come and answer to issues. This is the essence of the motion. And I so move. Thank you.
And I will speak.
Sorry, asking me to use my discretion to allow him, the honorable member, to move a motion, to allow him to move a motion to stop adjourn the debate, am I right? Or to stop honorable ministers from further responding. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Further responding and allow the
Vice President.
Her Excellency, the Vice President, to respond to all the issues. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is that what you are requesting? The motion has been moved. You said you want to second it?
Yes, seconded.
Any seconder? So our central body move?
Seconded.
Seconded. Good. We'll get there. Let us just take it step by step. It has been moved and seconded that the Vice President, we allow Her Excellency the Vice President to respond to the issues that have been raised as opposed to individual minister responding in respect of their respective portfolios. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no.
No.
No. So the ayes have it. No, the ayes have it. So, no, please.
Madam Speaker, I think I am the, I think I am the, I have been the, I am the, yes.
The House has decided that Her Excellency the Vice President will respond to the issues that have been raised generally. So may I now call on Her Excellency the Vice President to respond to the issues generally. Thank you very much. It's your decision. The motion was moved, not mine. Madam Speaker, Honorable National Assembly members, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, all other protocols respectfully observed. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I want to thank the Lord Almighty for bringing us together once again on a third note to look at the affairs of the country based on the constitutional responsibility and requirement of His Excellency President Barrow to give the address of the State of the Nation and to allow the August National Assembly body to look at it and come up with their views and comments, and to allow us to be on a constructive engagement in steering the business of this nation. We thank God that most of us are alive, and those who died, only one thank to the Lord Almighty. May His soul rest in peace, and may the Lord give us long life for us to be able to continue deliberations on matters of the nation as we move forward within the framework of our legal mandates. First and foremost, I want to say that this debate has been a very constructive, very positive, very useful, very eye-opening, and very objective process. From yesterday to today, the fact that we have come to the second day shows that there is great progress in this. And I want to first and foremost say thank you to all of you for making it possible within this situation to be able to sit down and look at the State of the Nation's report of His Excellency President Adama Barrow. I first and foremost want to congratulate all of you for the great comments that you have given and made of the report, particularly the introductory remarks and conclusions. Appreciation of most of the NAMs for the great contributions over the years and the constructive observations and contributions, suggestions to improve on His Excellency's State of the Nation address. I want to thank you. Any other shortcomings or weaknesses of the report is not His Excellency's. It is the responsibility of all of us who have given him the responsibility to report on such a Herculean task of having to deal with quite a number of ministries, as you have already discerned and seen in this report. And therefore, he could not capture everything. Not being able to capture everything is not his fault. Neither is it the fault of myself. Neither is it any other's fault, but because he wanted to play a fair share for each of the ministries and therefore could not bring in everything that you might have desired. But at least the report has given you the framework. It has given you the opportunity to be able to give constructive criticisms and positive feedbacks to it. And that was the purpose. I would like to first of all tell you that my methodology of responding to the issues that you have raised and the fact that you have decided that I should respond to everything is to make it clear that I am not the subject matter specialist, and neither here are we all subject matter specialists. That is why you have different sectors and different ministries taking responsibility of working in their ministries and bringing in their contributions for this type of very useful address to be presented. So all the issues that were presented or the reports that were given were summarized. These are synopses. These are synopses that were extracted from the main report. And if you so desire or need a comprehensive information, as most of you have asked, the ministries are available. You can engage in your subcommittees. You can also personally, because you have the right to ask,
any ministry to give you information that is necessary to help you in supporting it or doing. And when I looked at the contributions, when I looked at the discussions, I saw a very positive vibe, very, very positive vibe. And to me, this is a great thing because we are in it together. What can we do to help? How can we help you? We are helping to assist, we are assisting you. I have had the honorable member for Serekunda and many other honorable members. We have assisted in bringing in this, we have assisted, we would assist and so on. That is the spirit. That is the spirit of how we move our country together, irrespective of our diversities. And I have seen that being asked and expressed in almost many of these aspects, and that's the spirit. And it is very confirming, very, very positive that this country will move forward. We will move because we are together in it. No one person can do it. I appreciate the concerns you raised with regards to a lot of issues, but I also want to appreciate the fact that you have captured some of the things in the introductory remarks of the President, His Excellency, with regards to crowning statements looking at the context of what are we. Everything has to be contextualized. And that contextualization is based on the situation and the circumstances we all found ourselves. And now, what is that context? As His Excellency present this State of the Nation address, even a primary one child can tell us, COVID-19, we are caught up in a situation that all of us know has came by surprise to everybody all over the world. And we cannot but have to pay attention to it. We cannot but have to address it. We cannot but have to do things to suit ourselves in that context. And that is what the President has said clearly. Most of you have actually quoted that in trying to remind us about the introductory remarks and your appreciation of those sections. And I think I share the same view with you all over the world. The comments I am getting after people are reading this is the same comments that you are giving us. And you are the legislators. You are the people who should understand the context even much better, so that the issues you are raising, the critical issues you are raising, like less resources here, we are not giving focus to other attention to certain things. When the bills come, you will give them more money, you will give them more work guidance, you will support the Minister of Finance, you will support all other ministers to be able to do what they are supposed to do because of the effects and the impact. There are shortcomings, yes, but those shortcomings can be addressed working closely with the specific ministries that are supposed to move on with the process. So I urge all of you, it is your right, your fundamental right, and your duty to the people that you represent to go out and hunt for those information. It is your right for you to go and engage constructively, because we need each other. We cannot do it alone, neither can you do it alone, nor can any other body do it alone. So we need each other, and needing each other means working together, recognizing the challenges that we all face, especially during the COVID context. And if not the COVID, there will always be challenges. But our job is to narrow those challenges and turn them into opportunities for people to benefit. And that's exactly why we are here. And I appreciate your constructive suggestions. I've taken so much. I'm going to write it again. So much. And I have picked up from your constructive engagement with some of the issues of sector by sector. And I will try as much as possible to respond to some of the information which I can give you now. But I will also refer you to the ministries who are responsible for giving the first-hand information. That is the reason why I felt this is your space. It's not, we are here, we are invited. I thought the first suggestion that was given by the Honorable Speaker, to allow the ministers who are present here today, even if you look at the provisions that has been mentioned by the Basse, it gives that flexibility, if possible, to allow the people where these things originate from and the fundamental questions that you are asking to be able to stand, because I've kept them here since yesterday, I've kept them here today, and they took their responsibilities to engage and try to get more information, to be able to come and stand here and give you the responses of the questions firsthand, to be able to clear your doubts and be able to forge that relationship and take it further with them. Because I know there are different subcommittees. And indeed, those subcommittees are really valuable. And they do a lot of work before we come to the state of the nation. They are engaged with the ministers, and they will be able to put in their perspective. Some of the documents have been submitted to some of those subcommittees. And to me, I think this would have been a better strategy. But I have no control over it, so I am going to engage. But I urge you, any further clarification, you have to go to the relevant institution to ensure that they are going to respond. Now, I also want to say that I am primarily here, as you are. I appreciate your concerns you raise on behalf of your constituencies and communities. This is primarily why you are all here, because it is the people behind you that you represent that matter, and that matters to this government, and should be the issue for everybody. And therefore, we are going to take every issue you raise seriously, every issue that has been commented, and we are within our means. We're going to take it seriously and see what we can do. And I believe that the comments that has come all through along, I think is very clear that we have made some progress since last year. Then I want to also say that you are also to legislate on matters. And I want to congratulate all of you. I really want to congratulate all of you. Having sat down there writing, listening, you have legislated a lot of things and bills. Very useful, not for us now, but for the future. I want to congratulate you for that. I don't know the numbers, but the amount of bills that have passed and the amount of energies that have been done with your constructive participation in them is indeed a very positive thing, that the enabling environment is there. That is why it happened. It is created, it is facilitated, and we all collectively worked into it. And you gave us, you assisted us. It's not only assisted, you contributed. Because we don't know it all, neither do you know it all, and we expect to engage in other areas. So I just want to congratulate all of you and to say that you've done a great job. Lucky to be here the third time. And being a witness to this, I think I have to be frank and objectively analytical in what I saw. And I want to thank all of you, despite the diversity. You've done well. This is the spirit with which we have to work on, to move this country forward, because it was the collective spirit that brought us together to work together. And I have seen that manifested today by the product and the evidence and the results and the analysis. Most of the analysis were so positive, were so good and so constructive, even if it is bitter. I appreciate it. And we all appreciate it as ministers, and it will make us sit up more to do more for our country, because our people deserve more and better. I am very happy also to tell you that you represent the voices of your people. We are also there to facilitate. That's why this government is facilitating every process for this. And these voices will not be left unheard through you. A lot of issues has been raised to different sectors, while others are specific, others are cross-cutting. And even if you see from the way, all of you were looking at the State of the Nation's address by His Excellency President Barrow, You have been repeating yourselves. You have been calling on, and there are specificities, and this is what makes it beautiful. That shows that there is a concern, and we have to deal with it. I am also very happy to have my ministers, the ministers here, who have been sitting down, taking note, and they have done quite a lot of work. They have already come up with their write-ups. But as I said, since this is the way you want it, I will let them have it in their hands. And then when you are ready, you can consult them. But it would have been a better thing for all of you to hear what was being said about critical issues raised by individual ministers. Ministry of Health. The issue about the high rate of maternal mortality, the issues of women's sexual and reproductive health rights, the issues of the health sector has been raised quite a number of times. Yes, it is a concern, and I am happy that the Minister for Health has been able to, you have summoned him, he has come, he has given you a report, and he has said if you need more, he will work with the with the subcommittee on health to provide more. I don't think I have to delve into that. I don't have to, because he has given. Even if you feel it is not comprehensive, you will have the opportunity to constructively engage with him. You have also heard the lands issue has come, which is a very contentious issue. It affects every Gambian, whether we know it or not. It is a very sensitive matter. But the Minister for Land also has come out to tell you what work is going on, how things are moving, and the efforts that are being done. And a lot is being done, as you know. I would want to also inform you that before I go into the whole thing, what is a State of the Nation address? I had this Deputy Speaker, just to give context and to get into the main crux of what some of you have asked, is to state that the State of the Nation address is a constitutional obligation and yearly tradition wherein the executive reports on the status of the country, unveils the government's agenda for the coming year, and proposes to Parliament certain legislative measures where possible. We have seen what the President have done. It is a statement, it is an address, it is not a report. If it is about reporting of the executive, that is all the ministries giving a report, we will be dealing with almost 5,000 pages. So I want to make it very clear here that it is not a report. It's an address, a statement that tries to capture and encapsulate everything that was provided by the various ministries, because a circular was sent to all the ministries to get, and all the ministries that have their department, to come up with some report on what activities they have done for the year. It is context specific. We have to understand it is context specific, because we have done it 1 year, 2 year, year 3. So the year that we are talking about is context specific. And because it is context specific, we try as much as possible to make sure that we bring in. Of course, we cannot give you everything, and I want to make that any shortcomings is my fault. Any shortcoming is my fault. You won't be able to see everything there, because all the ministries have to give in, and we have to pick up from each and every one of them to be able to come with this State of the Nation report. So some of the things that you appreciate, we honorably thank you for that. It is not ours, it is yours and ours and everybody's. Those that you feel are inadequate, please, the floor is open for you to go to the relevant ministries. If I don't answer it adequately, meet them, meet the ministers or the technical people, because we are supported by our technical people, to give you the main reports that are available to give you better insights into it. So I would take the blame and nobody else should take it, because we now learn, I have taken notes to say that we will see. But normally, the State of the report, the State of the Nation address takes 1 hour. And can you imagine, you have more than 15 or 20 ministries, what that means. So we want to. It is a speech made by the head of state to the legislature. The president gives the administration's view of the condition of the nation. It focuses on current political and socio-economic status of the country. He has done that, and I'm sure your analysis have shown you those things. He may not cover everything, but it gives a gist of what is needed, and anybody can build on top of that. And what we have taken note, I can assure you, everything discussed here, notes have been taken. The permanent secretaries are here, our technical arm. I take my own notes, and the ministers are taking their notes. We will try to look at what we can do to respond to some of those lacuna that some of you have identified. We will also, security of our border forces under the Ministry of Interior. Actually, you already know that land, interior, defense, health are all concerned about the interior and also the communities. There is a technical body that is put together to look at those issues of borders. Particularly, the lead ministry with regards to surveillance and protection of the borders have been working seriously on it. The minister is here. It would have been better if he came and tell you exactly what was happening, but the process is going on, and I am aware administratively that a lot of work has been done and is going on in terms of that. With regards to the materials that we are talking about, because of the context of the circumstances we are in, COVID-19 subcommittee that was instituted by His Excellency President Barrow in response to the COVID pandemic has a multi-dimensional strategy that brings in all the relevant institutions, because we know COVID has different phases. COVID is affecting everybody, and therefore every sector has a role to play. One may be more important than the other because of the circumstances, but they all have. And in that body, when these issues come, they come up. We are all supporting health because it's a health pandemic, but it has social, political, and economic implications. And because of that, we want to help. Health is going to be the center of the focus, and that whatever resources that do come is all focused towards strengthening the health sector, towards facilitating for the health sector, and ensuring that we make things available and happening for us to deal with the pandemic strategically. That COVID subcommittee has had the Ministry of Interior bring its needs based on the analysis and the assessments that were done. And of course, the resources, this is a multi-sectoral approach. It has a multi-sectoral and multi-dimensional implication, and therefore everybody has to be given something to be able to kickstart. Now, the amount of money that was given has been put in those aspects, and the Interior Ministry was not left. There were, I think we bought about 12 vehicles. There are so many things that have come in. A lot of these issues are based on their demand and request, and many more things are in the pipeline, but the resources are limited. So I think this is an opportunity for you people to know that the money is not sufficient, but we appreciate the gesture and the efforts you have made to make sure that this thing is appropriated for us to start the process. I want to appreciate you. We also know that all the other demands that are coming is dependent on that, including support from our partners. But of course, like all of you rightly said, we have to empower ourselves before we think about outside. But we want to express appreciation to our partners for coming to join us in moving this COVID within the development frame of this country based on the National Development Plan, and therefore COVIDizing it. What I mean by this is that whatever we do is thought of through the framework of COVID. We have front-loaded so many materials or support to support the COVID. The Minister for Finance has done a lot of work, and his team, including other sectors, to see how best do we contextualize the situation and ensure that we deal with the salient, most important in terms of priorities, to be able to respond to this pandemic. And I'm very proud today to tell you that the Gambia is not doing badly. The Minister of Health was very modest, but I think there are so many positive comments. When we are considered internationally, and when comments come out, analysis come out, the Gambia is doing very, very well. It is because of the efforts of the Ministry of Health and all the sectors who have, in one way or the other, come together to support this process to make sure that the Ministry of Health will be able to move forward, looking at other sectors, because it has a multifaceted dimension. And I am not surprised for the great appreciation you have made of the Minister of Health. Challenges are there. We cannot but accept and recognize those challenges. Those challenges is what makes us sit up. If everything is successful, then why do we have to be coming here? Why do we need to be scrutinized? Why do we need to be looked at? So therefore, I want us to respond to your own call. I think I have recorded it many, many times that there are challenges, but you appreciated the Ministry of Health. I don't know whether it is within the frame of this house, whether it is part of your procedures, for us to take time just to stand up and clap for the Ministry of Health and the frontliners that you have actually appreciated, to show the world that the Gambia is doing well because of those people who are behind us. If it is possible in the house, I want us to stand and clap for them, 1, 2, 3, to show the world, because you have said it. You have talked about it, if it is not within the frame, but I want to appreciate and say thank you for you accepting and understanding and recognizing the efforts of the healthcare workers, the Ministry of Health under the leadership of Honorable Samate, and all the other ministries that have supported them to reach there, despite the challenges. I know it's not easy, but they have sacrificed their life. For those that died during their services, may the Lord Almighty give them Jannatul Firdausi and be recognized forever in the history of the Gambia for laying their lives for COVID. I think your appreciation of that shows how much this government has given emphasis to deal with the COVID pandemic. And I thank you all. We are all in it together. Environment. A lot has been said, and the minister has prepared himself, but what I can respond now here is the environment is moving forward. Last year when I came here, they were building a headquarters in the center of Animal Kingdom. We all know that it has been, and the progress building is going, is quite clear. Things are moving progressively, and the plans are going ahead. There has been a lot of tree planting across the country, which some of you have even participated as National Assembly members. I may not be able to give you the figures in money because I did not equip myself with that. That was why I brought them. But I can tell you that the tree planting exercise has made a great distinction in greening our environment. There is a process of greening. The sensitivity, the awareness is there. Women, young people, communities, youth are engaged in tree planting exercises in their various areas. And I think that's the right direction. The mindset is changing and the response is positive, so we encourage that. So whether it is in the greater Banjul area, but right across the country, I think we should appreciate about that. And there is also, within the land policy, a bill that is drafted that looks at so many things. With regards to the land policy, there is a bill that is already going on. And part of that also is going to be dealing with environmental land issues and so on. I want to apologize also for the mistakes that were found in the document. To err is human. But very small, they are very small. I read it also, but it was too late to have corrected it when it has been printed already. But it's good that you have picked it up, which shows you are really up and doing, and I congratulate you for that. We should not allow anything to slip. So we take responsibility for that. And next one, maybe, we will not be able to, you will not see any of those. Some of you said you want to thank the Minister of Health for the giant steps taken to combat COVID-19. You appreciated other institutions, Red Cross, civil society, women's organizations, NGOs. You also asked the Minister of Health to specify where the treatment centers were built. If you look at the newspapers, because there should be different sources, you travel a lot, you monitor a lot, you follow up a lot. But also the newspapers do carry some information. There are briefings also done by the various by the Minister for Health, and he has mentioned this many times, where the treatment centers are planned. If you don't know it all, but there are a few that are already around here, we know, and up country also, across the 7 regions within the country, all the hospitals, all the health facilities that are major health centers are going to be having a treatment center, if I get it right. I know of that. So maybe to confirm some of these things, it's good to engage with the Minister for Health. Then he will give you specifically. It is not meant to be in every village. It is not meant to be in every constituency. But it is meant to represent regions. Each region must have it. And I think that's a policy that they have put in. And where the hospital is a big facility, they look for extensions where they could do. But we pray to the Lord Almighty that COVID is not, we will have those preemptive measures, put those things in place to mitigate. But we pray that COVID does not progress to the point that we have to start looking at where things are going. And so far, so good. We thank the Lord Almighty. God is great. But why is it that we are not doing badly? It's because of what you are wearing. Washing our hands with soap and water. Social distancing. Trying to avoid crowds. These are the things. Let's keep on that and support each other. Let us recognize that and respect each other and support that, we will all be safe. That's the first step to do. Then there is how do we create room for you to start business in their areas. The Minister for Trade would had come up with a beautiful write-up to show the number. You have the YEP project. You have all other projects that they are doing at the Techifi is here. You also have other projects and youth training centers, employment centers to train the youth. Because let's understand the characteristic of our youth. It's about they are over 60% of the population. They are vulnerable for the fact that if you are not educated, it's very difficult, and the chances, there are challenges that are faced, even for those who are educated and those who are not educated. We have to recognize those realities and accept them to be able to address the issue of youth employment, education, capacity building, skills. But we cannot afford to say the youth need it, why do they accept? There is dignity in labor. Take what you have until you get what you want, but work towards it. There is nothing wrong in preparing a plan. Preparing, the Minister of Trade is doing that. Ministry of Youth is on it. You have Ministry of Education. You have the Ministry of Women's Affairs. You have Agriculture. It's a multifaceted dimension. Wherever you go, you have youth as a cross-cutting issue. Just you have women's issues as a cross-cutting issue. So that whichever ministry is going to deal with these things, there should be a policy in place that is going to help address the capacity issues in the areas these young people want, that is going to create the job issues that these people want, and to move forward with the process in terms of let them have something to keep them. Look, carrying loads to go to the up and down and earning $3,000 at the end of the day. There are some people in the civil service who don't have it. You go home with dignity. You are young, you have exercised your capacity as far as you can. And even if you had left school and before you can find anything, you find a job like that, why don't you go and work, get it, and help yourself whilst you are looking for? We were all students, and when we left, we did a lot of jobs before we became who we are. So dignity in labor has to be respected, and to inculcate in our youth that you aspire high. Nobody is telling the youth not to, and we are doing everything we can to have the best quality because they are the ones to graduate to adults. This is the social capital that we need. But with the current situation, take what you have until you get what you want. And we must not politicize the issue of youth at all. We must not politicize it because everybody wants your child to get the best. But in the absence of everything, take what you have to move forward. This is the reality on the ground. Because what you need is to live in dignity. What you want to do is to be able to solve your problem. What you want to do is to move and self-actualize. You may earn that money to go to university. You may earn the money to go to college. You may earn it to start a business. These are some of the things that are needed. So the young people, please engage this government, and all the members who are representing you have the best in their minds for you. They will do everything that they can, but don't sit down when you see an opportunity. You can use your dignity to get it and move. We don't want people to steal. We don't want people to adukalpe. We don't want people to go around doing certain things because they cannot even buy bread or butter. They cannot buy soap for themselves, even slippers. So if you can go and do something and buy it and not be disappoint your parents, is better. So the issue of youth, I think resources will be galvanized, more resources will be given, and there is efforts in the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of the Women's Affairs, and so many other relevant institutions that are coming in terms of that. The job areas, Ministry of Trade is doing a lot. There is need for access to resources, you said, roads, fertilizers, agriculture. Yes, agriculture is one of the most important, and I appreciate the fact that in order of your analysis, everybody agree with me that there is a consensus that agriculture is a very important pillar in our country and in our livelihood, and we must give it the right decision. Again, a lot of efforts are being done. Last year, if we reflect, quite a number of issues were raised, and now if you come to tick the box, a lot has been done, but still we have challenges, and COVID has come to make it worse. It has come to make it worse, and therefore we have to go back to the drawing table, to the drawing board, to say that fertilizer has not reached people from what I have captured. We may not be perfect, but quite a number of people have acknowledged that fertilizer, they've received their fertilizer. Some received it on time, some it was a bit late, and you have raised those issues. That's a fact. That's the reality on the ground. We have to acknowledge it. But then to say that nothing was given begs the question. So I want to say that more needs to be done. The Minister of Agriculture has taken note of all those things. He has taken note of the information that has generated from here regarding agriculture, and will do her utmost best in the ministry with her team to make sure that they will be able to move forward with the process. There was the issue of clarification required for why young people did not receive their food package, tickets, etc., were seized during the distribution of their tickets, during the distribution of the food. Let me just put you through to the issues that you raised, which has come out quite a number of times. And it's important that because so that I want us all to be on the same page, to be able to discern and appreciate the amount of work that has been done in terms of what is needed in terms of that is going to be tied and linked to the Nafar Creek, because it has to do with the Nafar Creek, the disbursement of those foods, and the money package, and so on. Quite a number of questions came. The technical people have empowered me with the right information, and as the head of that section, facilitating having a policy direction, I am there to guide the policy and to support the process. But each institution that is implicated in this is within a different sector, and my duty is to facilitate. And I want to first and foremost say that it was a very, very successful exercise. I have gotten it from the people across the country. I have monitored, and if you look at me, I had to go on a daily basis to sit at the Makati Square. It is not because I don't trust the people doing their work, but I wanted to see the way things are going on, and to ensure that there is what we call social auditing. You don't go and say, give me the numbers and so on. I'm sitting down to observe. I'm watching and I'm looking, and I want to make sure that whatever we put on the framework is going to work. So let me give you first the NAFA quick cash transfer. At the same time, tell you the methodology and the strategies that we used in reaching out to such a high and large population who really appreciate this thing. The government of the Gambia, in collaboration with the World Bank, initiated the NAFA quick cash transfer in response to the dire need for humanitarian assistance to poverty-stricken communities in the Gambia during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is not saying not everybody is poor, but poverty-stricken. We have degrees, we have to put them on the ladder. The project is implemented by government through NANA, under the Office of the Vice President, Department of Community Development, Department of Social Welfare, under the Ministry of Women, Children, and Social Welfare, and the Department of Community Development under the Ministry of Land and Regional Government. The NAFA quick cash transfer is premised upon the backdrop of government's initial universal in-kind transfer that targeted nearly 80 households to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. The NAFA quick is targeting approximately 83 households in 30 districts, covering all the districts in the Phoenix. So that answers the question that the Honorable National Assembly from Phoenix asked. Lower River Region, Central River Region, Upper River Region, and one district in North Bank Region, Sabah Sanjal. 20 of these districts were selected based on the interrelated household survey 2015 to 2016 data by using the highest ranking headcount poverty rate plus poverty gap rate with the prevailing COVID-19 situation, and additional 10 other districts covered by the social registry under the social safety net project were added. So you can see what we are doing is we are gradually building. You cannot provide everything. The spirit is very positive, I'm telling you. I listen to you and I know that we are going to get there. The spirit is positive. You want everything for our communities, for our people, for the poor. And even the rich, we want them to be, because there should not be any exclusion. But we have to have affirmative action. Everybody has their challenges, but we have to prioritize. And that's what we have been doing. This was the reason why it started from 83, the districts, and then now we are increasing the districts. I want to assure you, I don't want to say it now, but then we are going to cover the whole country if we can. But we have to sit down and plan. That is the ultimate plan that that's what we feel. This is what this government wants. Everybody to get out of the challenges. We feel it, we understand it, and we know it. With you people now coming with all the information, telling us in a very constructive, critical way, is in itself the best research we can do. That's why when I come, I take my paper, I'm writing. Because I know you have said it. You have said it. The NAFA Quick is providing universal cash transfer of $1,500 per month for a period of 4 months, covering the anticipated COVID-19 period. The transfer will be payable in 2 installments of $3,000 in 2 months interval. These are rapid responses. We already know when this thing came in, some cannot even buy food. Some cannot even go to the hospital or could not understand. And we know that there are people who can afford it. Today, the scenarios that were shared here, yesterday and today, with all the information that is given, shows how challenged we are. So it is our duty and responsibility for all of us to come together and work on them. It's not about this government, it's about this legislature, this place, because you are all here in your own rights, representing different people, different backgrounds, and the diversity is what makes it beautiful. So this is what it is. And inshallah, those of you who feel that maybe your constituency or your villages, communities are left, we will do our best. We are doing that. The framework is going on. But remember, you don't just say, yakun kun fayakun. It's only the Lord Almighty who can do that. What you do is to plan. We need to plan. We need to assess. We need to engage, work on committees, Just like you have your cabinet subcommittees here dealing with this, and I want to thank all of you. You have all been constructively engaged. So also, are we going to engage with the different sectors that are going to do, and engage the Minister for Finance? Because if money comes, it's not kept at the office of the Vice President. We have no access to money. It is through the fiduciary responsibility is the Finance Ministry. It is the one that is the custodian of any support or money that comes, and it prioritizes based on the framework and the portfolio that it needs to cover. So when it comes and it says give it to the people, we have to prioritize. And I want to assure you, we will do our best. Our UN partners are here. The international partners are very supportive. They know this is a global pandemic, and we are challenged, and they are ready to work with us, and are willing to do so. We also know that the pandemic has economic and financial implications, whether we like it or not. You are raising issues about from 6% to 2%. Of course, if the borders are locked, markets have been given short time to open. Some shops are even closed. Some livelihood strategies have been completely locked down, because it is about balancing the act, life and death. Do we need money? Before you can go out to look for money, you need to be healthy. It's a pity. I can use myself as an example. I suffered from COVID. It's a deadly disease. COVID is deadly. It's deadly. It's not that I was asymptomatic. I had it. That is why I was just lucky to be supported, to get the right support, the right time, and to get the right team around me. But it's deadly. When you are in very high. But now the vulnerable group are now within the vulnerable group. Even EU people may be under the vulnerable groups. If you make another study, that will happen. Because things are not coming, we don't have anything, we all go to the same market. You talked about fish, $500 fish for 5 listings. Everybody goes to the market. How many people can buy it now? If you take $500 for fish, you want to cook for 15 people. What next are you going to put there? We are all aware of those things. So the issues you raise are very real. And this government is sensitive to it. And we are going to look at it. I wish my ministers were allowed the space to come and talk. Then you will discover a lot that is going on. But as I said, the opportunity is there for you to go and meet them. They will give you the information. I've told them to prepare the report based on the questions you have asked, so that when those who ask for it could go, and then it is submitted to the subcommittees. A further new initiative has recently been launched in July this year to undertake a comprehensive assessment of urban poverty with a view to targeting the most vulnerable population to cover the rest of the NAFA Quick Cash Transfer Support window. We've discussed it. It is ongoing, but the assessment is done. The social registry is generating information. The Gambia Bureau of Statistics is the institution responsible, working closely with other data sources to move it. So we cannot alienate our principal institution. But we also know that context specificities and context studies are there, which is why we have certain registries. And the social registry is very important, because when we generate and finish that registry, if I click Honorable Willie West, I will see everything about him in terms of his demographic, and we will be able to support in doing a lot. For example, these are the things, progressive digital and technological advanced strategies that this government is trying to bring in to join the global world, not to be left behind. We are a country of our own, and we need something better for ourselves. And then you have the rest of the country with the NAFA Quick Cash Transfer Support window. We are negotiating that. Already, an international consultant has been identified and hired by the bank to undertake the necessary studies with our local people. You've been emphasizing that. I have always been emphasizing that nobody can do it for us if we don't come, if we don't tell them. We need to leverage from our pool of social capital, but we also have to understand that we cannot do it alone. We need the support of international community. We need to look at the best practices. We need to engage others to work with us in order to bring authenticity and standards. That's why they do peer reviews, and the experts are here sitting. You've been there, you've seen what is happening. Because when people come to look at what you are doing, they assess you and look at that, and then they can associate themselves and see this is how we can move it and do that. So these are some of the things to generate the relevant data and information of our social protection and safety nets next country program cycle. You have everything that is done as a program cycle. Now, these program cycles have to be well thought of, they have to be well researched, they have to be based on statistics and information, so that at the end of the day, what you need to do here is when we come and roll it out, it will be sustainable. But to say it should come out, boom, everybody gets it, it's not possible. There is nowhere in the world that it happens. No government can boast of that. So the concerns are very genuine, they are pertinent. We are aware of it. The ministers are here. We are here to serve you. We are here to work with you. We need to do it together. We cannot do it alone, neither can you, neither can any other body do it. We need to work together with all the necessary partners to do so.
Honorable Speaker, observation.
Honorable?
Observation.
Yes, sir.
Yes. But,
What are you raising?
yeah, point of order, and I think,
Point of order?
yes.
Okay.
Honorable Speaker, the spirit of, for the first time, moving a motion to allow the Vice President to make responses was in the right direction as stipulated in the Constitution. But the response is coming. It seems, Standing Order 25, we can allow ministers who will be well equipped, because the Vice President herself has been repeating the presence of the ministers if they can respond well to the various court issues raised. Depending on Standing Order 25, where it is stated that as prescribed by the Constitution, the Vice President or a minister shall report on any matter concerning a department or other business of government committed to his or her charge, and when requested to do so by the Assembly, attend any sitting and respond to issue raised during proceedings.
Honorable Member, I don't know, but it appears as if we're confusing issues. I mean, this very assembly moved a motion for the ministers. They had already started giving their responses, but halfway through, a motion was moved to allow the vice president and to stop the ministers. And your very self seconded that motion. Am I right? No,
yes.
It's okay. I just want us to make sure that
yes.
we follow procedure.
Yes.
Of course, the provisions are there, but the House, the Assembly has rules and procedures to follow that we must all follow. And a motion was moved, seconded, and approved by the Assembly. So I, as presiding officer, couldn't have done otherwise than to allow the wishes of the National Assembly, which is the decision to allow Her Excellency to respond. And in any event, the Constitution gives her the mandate. She can, I think she can respond, not just the ministers
yes,
with regards to their different portfolios, but the Vice President can also respond.
Yes.
But again, one thing that I just want to draw your attention to is the fact that in her response, he has been saying that you can always continue, the committees can always continue with the engagements with the different ministries. And then maybe at the end of those engagements, the committees can prepare a report and present it, lay it before the plenary. So I don't think anything is lost, but we may take, I think we're in order so far. Yes, Your Excellency, please, can you just allow us, we just want to sort one or two procedural matters. Yes,
well,
North.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. I understand the challenge. The Honourable Vice President is correct to respond. And then, but the issue is that I think is for reasons of time. I want to move a motion without notice that the National Assembly task the Vice President that after the end of the session, each of the ministers, they were here, they had our concerns, they prepare a report, cabinet report, on the issues raised by the National Assembly members relating to the address of the President. So they provide answers in the form of a report. I think that's going to solve the problem.
Well, that may be right, but I think let's allow the Vice President to finish her response, and then you can move that motion. But in fact, if you had listened attentively, she did say that you can always consult. And in consulting, you can request the ministries to do it in writing, and then circulate it to each and everyone, and especially the relevant committees. But Honorable Member for Serekunda, but I think we are on the right track.
Yeah, we are on the right track, Honorable Speaker, as the member moved under Section 77, subsection 3. The Vice President speaks for the President, and it was the address of the President. But in her presentation, she sees the need for details by ministries specifically designed to address certain issues. What may be the best is for her just to give a general statement on what she feels she has the competence to deliver on the speech, and the rest can be treated. Even if we come to the adjournment debate, the ministers can come back and inject more information. What is important is in her delivery, she feels what she feels in saying, she says it about the speech and concludes, and then the rest can be taken up. But we are on the right course. She should just continue. We should not interrupt her.
There's just one point I thought I would raise at the end of her response is some of the issues. One, I think, was raised by the Honorable Member for Nyamina East, and the other one, Tumana, with regards the coupons for the food distribution. So I think those are specifics. Since those matters were under her purview, she can directly respond to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity again and for coming to conclusion on the matter. I just want to say that I have taken enough notes and I am ready to engage, but I think in a spirit of participation and also efficiency, effectiveness, and also for you to get more information, because it's about all of us together in it. This is a very positive session that has actually x-rayed a lot of issues within the framework of institutions that are governing what we're doing and the efforts to make it better. Of course, you have given us credit in many ways, but also you have raised some fundamental issues. And I think it is better we try to address them strategically and move forward. And I want to refer, I hope it is in order. When the comment came to say, we have assisted, we have supported, we have worked together. I think you have the capacity in different areas, in different places. So if all those capacities are coming together to help to move it, to make it better, then it creates ownership. And it is that ownership that is high on the agenda of this government, to make sure that everybody identifies with it, so that we own it and see how we manage it. that is what it is. So I want to talk about the coupons. The coupons with regards to the distribution. As I said, there is what they call social accounting. There is this whole debate about addressing corruption, and I think there's going to be an anti-corruption bill very soon. And so many malpractices that may happen because of the way the systems are built, or because of the lapses that do occur. We are not blaming anybody, and it's not directed at anyone. But we have to acknowledge the fact that we are under capturing resources. We are under utilizing our capacity in terms of what has been done. You may give 500, and then because we are not putting in systems in place that will be accountable to give you that this is the 500 you brought, instead 400 is reported. So how do you make sure that you give? It was a best practice put together by the NDMA in collaboration with all the other relevant institutions, supported by the Ministry of Finance and everybody, to say that this is going to be a magnitude of a scale that has never happened in the Gambia. And to address this, we need to have mechanisms that will be able to create a better social accounting, because we're going to reach people, and we may not be there, but if we are able to put the structures in place, we have the system in place. So even where we are, actually, with the coupon, if the data goes in and you have the software, you will know who received and who did not receive. So sometimes there are forgeries. You may have supplied, and then that receipt was there and it's replicated. We don't know. People do it. Let us acknowledge the malpractices. Let us acknowledge the challenges. Let us acknowledge the facts, and then we move forward. So that was why the coupons were given, and it is given in good faith. Now, what happened? There were times when we started the process, and they went out to sensitize the people to take their names or to work with the GBOS to get the data. It was not adequate. So they had to work through the traditional system and the local government areas. The governors were involved, and the local government authorities were involved. So we sent in technical people to work with the governors and their team to ensure that we work with like you have said, we need to work with the local leaders. The traditional system must be given the opportunity in our governance. They were brought in because these are the people who know their communities better. They know the household, the number of households. The work I have done in the Gambia have shown me that we have professors in there who know everything that they are given to be responsible. And that we should respect and recognize that capacity they have to improve our governance systems. So they went there, they collected. Some thought that they are coming to take their names to use it for politics. That was some people called me to tell me, look, these people have come here. They said we should give them names and the number of people we have in the house. This is what you need to determine how many bags of oil, how many bags of rice, how many bottles of oil, and how much sugar you need. You need the statistics. And to generate the statistics, we need to do a head count. Now, those head counts were done, and then when they were completed, it was generated into information, and coupons were derived. It was the ministry, it was the printing department that was responsible for the coupons, working closely with the NDMA and all the other relevant institutions. Even the security was involved. So it was a very tight system. And we wanted to ensure that we do good for the population. Well, there might be shortcomings, but as I am speaking to you as it is, the number of people that received coupons and the number of food distributed has exceeded 90 at the moment. It's a Herculean task with the roads, all the challenges you have been mentioning here, accessibility, transport, vehicles. We have started to do, we began to understand the challenges we have when we wanted to get these things, all these things from one point to another. Even the road, some vehicle would tell you, I'm not going to those areas, they are not good. I will spoil my vehicle. What can you do? We don't have it. The private sector had to be engaged. So these are all challenges. Whatever shortcoming is there, we want to take responsibility. Because some of them refused, that was what brought in what they call the supplementary risk. Some were left behind inadvertently. I have said it here last year. The same question came again. I said we will try to address it. That time, we were about 60-something%. We brought it to 84, and we looked at it. So those were the inadvertent ones, and those who were saying, let's watch and see, when they realized that this thing is happening, they came with their list, and we try as much as possible to respect and recognize that, and give them whatever, but we don't have the money to give 100%. Nowhere in the world can it happen. But there's a criteria, and that criteria was, so these are the social accounting mechanisms, tracking mechanisms that we are trying to put in place, and this was a great opportunity to bring in that system to help us deal with a magnitude of this scale, this type of activity of its scale. We will learn lessons from there, and the report is coming out. That report will be brought here. It won't be long. We will bring the report, we'll bring the COVID report, interim report, and so many other things after it has taken a process. Today, you extended some of the bills because you still have to do work on them. It's a normal procedure. If you want to do justice, time is of the essence, but you have to give it adequate time. That's how all processes are. So these coupons were given. Whatever challenges are there, we know, and we have been trying to respond. But as I am speaking to you, it is 90% that has been done and above. There is, as I'm talking to you right now, the places that have been left because of the road and because they were late to bring in their supplementary list. Some of them kept their people, told their people not to give their names. They said, don't give them their names, it's a political law. It's not politics. It's your money. It's the taxpayers' money. It doesn't have to do with any politics. The president has a duty as the president of the republic who you have brought in to do that and to work with all of you. That's why you are all here. But some of the people were kept. When they kept them, they said, don't bring it. Now, when they saw people getting it, they started coming with a supplementary list when things are almost over. Some of the things that were remaining, because we have supplied the whole community and all the households, they were left in their secos because they had storage systems where other communities don't have. We used it as a storage to evacuate whatever balance was there to move to the others. Some people were trying to refuse it. Is it fair to the other members who don't have? Those are the issues that came. So whilst we are still on it, we will learn the lessons. We appreciate that, we appreciate the observations, but some of them definitely are not what this is not the situation. I'm sorry about that. I will try to focus on some of the things that we said. The coupons. Then the issue of the LUMOS also. We are working on the modalities because the COVID committee, through the guidance of the Minister of Health, and the team, the technical team, are looking at the modalities. Let us not rest on our laurels. COVID is not gone. Like all of you have said, COVID is going to remain with us. The pandemic may go, but COVID will remain. And I absolutely agree with you on that issue. So what do? We have to strengthen ourselves. We have to mitigate any other form of explosion, rather to maintain and get it down until we are safe. So we have not reached the safe threshold yet. We have not reached it, even as we open. We have not. I stand to be corrected by the minister, but I am monitoring the data, the CITREC, and everything. We are not yet there. But because of the balancing act, like the minister always says, when we meet, he says we have to, if I am going to give my own technical advice, no. But I cannot say no, because we need to bring a balancing act. People must live. Live and let live. They need to survive. They need to eat. They need to find money to live and move forward. So he says, let us sit down and put the measures. So he is working with the health team, the technical team, as well as all the relevant ministries from Interior, Defense, Health, Finance, Education. Ministry of Education has a very innovative approach to this. All the questions you are asking have already been addressed in a very innovative way and sustainably, because COVID is going to be with us. So that the LUMO, the school system, very soon you will get to know more about it. They are finalizing. We don't want to give you information to say this date. I don't know any date yet. But I know that they are working on it, and very soon they will get back to the public. An announcement will be made so that everybody, but it would come with a robust control system. A robust system that will protect all of us from contacting the virus and protecting others and making the Gambia better whilst life goes on. This is what we all want, because everybody is suffering. We know that, but we have to make decisions and choices. And these are not anything that has to do with this and that. It is about life-saving strategies and also blending it with the economic strategies that we will be able to have our livelihoods. They will come up very soon on that. Ministry of Trade and all these things are now out on that committee. You have the Interior. I'm just trying to pick up those that I think are the questions that are asked. He said, how can we help women to acquire skills while they are working, so they will continue to be productive? There was this issue of stimulus package that was raised about with regards to Minister of Finance. Of course, he has been working and he has been guiding us, and I want to say thank you to him for being able to work with you people, because you are the people who actually approve. You are the approving officer, this thing, and making it happen. He comes with the technical information, he gives it to you, then you analyze, debate over it, and then move forward to say whether this should be or not. From your analysis, we know that you have done a lot, and we want to tell you we need more. More is needed to do it for the population. The Ministry of Health, all other ministries that are supporting the COVID, water is a key issue. We all know that we are among the regulations all over the world, water and soap. It's a key issue. So we need to have taps. It should be a moment of turning our communities for the better. And this government is doing that. You remember a few months ago, the Minister for Fisheries went around with the Minister for Women's Affairs to go around and inaugurate some water taps, water pipes that were donated and were under a project. And he has also requested for more under the COVID project that we want to cover. This is a life-turning moment. Things that are going to be sustainable, things that are going to be lasting, and things that will change the livelihoods and quality of living of the people. That is what this government is looking for, and what each of these ministries are trying to do by looking at the relevant funds coming. So when they come, you scrutinize, you look at it, and see what are the essential, the basic. We have to prioritize. That's why I said this State of the Nation address is context-specific. And because it is context-specific, we have to give priorities to certain things that will make us survive and live. You talked about income-generating activities. What is the post-COVID plan, or what is the post-pandemic plan? Because COVID will, COVID will remain, but the post-pandemic plan is being done by everybody. The National Disaster Management Authority, including the Minister for Finance, Trade, and all the other concomitant sectors are all coming together to look at that and how this is going to inform the financial plan and our development plan in terms of how we move forward. And that subcommittee is available already for building resilience, etc. The stimulus package was also associated with the Minister for Trade. How can we come together to bring a stimulus package for the communities and those who are affected? Everybody is affected. I'm sure they will think about that. Part of the plans that they have in their policies, a lot of things are coming. They are working closely with it. There is a lot of consultation going on. I think our biggest challenge, as far as I am concerned, I may be right or wrong, is communication. If we are communicating, if we are able to, you are coming. Communication is not a one-way business. If I don't come, you come. If you don't come, I come. So that's how it is supposed to be. So that if you need information and statistics, let us not build it on assumptions or try to make our own trajectories based on what we want to do when it is not so. It is when it is not so. Find out, come with the suggestions you came with, brilliant. I have made a checklist of everything that you people have said. So I will flag it out when we meet to them so that they have a look at some of the things that were there. You talked about the Labor Act. Of course, it is long overdue, and I think that one is going on. Already, you know, there's a lot of work being done in terms of the labor, even the work center, and a lot of improvements are going on. We are trying to deal with a lot of the things according to the law, and I think the Minister for Justice can attest to that. We will also talk about the issue of home bread, Gambia bread. I call it Gambia bread, Gambia fish, Gambia meat, Gambia vegetables, and Gambia. We need to have that strategy, and we need to work towards that to encourage our young people, to make sure that they are engaged. Look, you can make millions out of selling bread alone over time. You can make millions out of the sea if you are ready to go to the sea. If we are ready to go to the sea. But let us face it, who are going to the sea? Who are going to the sea? Are they Gambians? That's the question I want to throw out. Are they Gambians? How many projects before us, you and I, this government, sit here, have been made to encourage Gambians to go into artisanal fisheries? I was a consultant during those years for FAO, and I traveled the whole sub-region, did a study on all these coastal fringes in the sub-region. What you find is that we do not go into it because of the taboos attached to them. The taboos attached to them has made Gambians not want to go, and they will tell you that this is not ours. This is not, there are people who are meant for that, who are crafted for that. So therefore we cannot go and, so if you say that, and you are now saying that we are crying wolf about the whole thing, that we are not giving people Gambian youths the opportunity to go. There were so many projects that were done here, and we are trying to revive or trying to come up with another creative way of encouraging them and motivating them. But most of what was raised here, we all know. If we go to the fishing communities, who are the ones handling the boats? Who are the ones going to sea? What is the role? It's good to do another study, focus study, just to understand the dynamics of those elements. Do we have to deny ourselves fish because it's not Gambians who are doing it? We have to put up strategies, and we will agree, we will look at that. All of us to think about how we do it, work together with our subcommittees in the National Assembly and the National Assembly members in their various constituencies that have those type of projects in their communities, and see how we encourage the people to do it. But if you go across all the landing sites, the dynamics, you all know that. So it's not the fault of the government, neither your fault. It is the mindset that we all have that we have to deal with. To remove the taboos, to encourage our young people to provide the resources and the boards, and so those ones have ever been dealt with in some studies. And by now, if those things had continued, today we will be building upon them. But they failed because the Gambians don't take it. So those who have the skills will take it. So when they say nobody should fish, when the Senegalese left, no fish in the market. So fish will be $500 fish. So all that we need to do is to learn and recognize those and try as much as possible and see how best we can encourage our young people. We can encourage the private sector who have the resources to also engage. Likewise in bread making. But I tell you, we cannot do that. This is a liberal economy. But we have to use positive ways of how we engage our people. But we cannot just say because we don't do it, nobody should do it. Economic-wise, it's not tenable because we have to survive. These are the realities on the ground. And we are very sensitive to supporting our youth. We have put into place a lot of things for the young people to engage in, and you will come to see those things unfolding as we move through the COVID and the projects that are going to come. I think the fisheries have done great work. They have generated some monies, and of course, they said it will go back to the communities. It will. Projects are on the way that are coming. A lot of things are coming, but like I said, you have to go through a process. We are assessing, we are preparing the reports, we are doing anything we could to deal with the scarcity of fish. The minister was telling me, we'll see what we can do. But if we don't go to the sea, there will be the scarcity of fish. Let us buy our own fish and let us buy our own vessels. Let us let our own people do it. Let them learn from those who have the skills. We have the Senegalese. We have others coming who have the skills. Let us engage them and put it as a matter of policy that they have to, our people have to. But our people also have to change their attitudes towards the type of work they want. The crafts, the musicians, the artists, and other economic operators really are also affected by this thing. And this government is trying to do whatever it can to work with them. I think the tourism minister is very busy, that's why he's not here. But we have seen what he is doing for the tourism, working with the Minister for Finance. You hear him talk on the radio. There are plans that he has put, and he's working very hard to ensure that tourism starts. Again, we want to say that plans are ahead for all this to start. Already he has given you the date as to when we expect to open for tourism. All that we need to do is to work towards putting in the robust regulations that will move this country forward and protect all of us. We need each other. Gambia needs everybody so that we move together. Higher education is the same thing. Together we can find solutions. When I listened to this word, I think it was very assuring. We can find the solutions together. We cannot do it alone. We cannot leave our people behind, all of you in your constituencies. So together we can do it, and we will move together. And also the Honorable for Ilyasa raised an issue of how can we, you've gone through the books, and the only thing we can do in this country is to change our attitudes. I think you are right. Attitudinal change is very important in whatever we do. We have to be honest to ourselves. We have to be ready to move together by telling each other in our faces that we have to do this to be able to do this for the sake of the people. We are their representatives. We are here to represent them. So we will all do it together. It's not only government, it's each and every one of you. In fact, you are more important for the fact that you are supposed to make sure that we do the right things for them to get it and be benefiting from them, and not to bring in any stench of saying that if we fail, you have failed because we are here to go by your bid. That's what I want you to understand. We are here to go by your bid, and we will continue to do that. I want to take any blame with regards to, I just want to repeat that, I want to accept any blame with regards to whatever criticisms that are brought in. But the people have appreciated the thing. You also mentioned certain pages in which the analyses are very clear. And to also the Fonyi Bendali, I think I've answered your this thing. The police can also go to their area to help in the border issues. I think Interior needs to be supported a lot. They need a lot of the security forces for that matter, because border control is about security vigilance. They have different roles and responsibilities to play. President or the first high command is the Interior, the police, and the law enforcers, and then you have those that will mitigate any crisis. That's the defense, to support. They come last. It's their role. But they don't have to come when there is, we have the relevant institutions, but they are very relevant. So the security forces need all the support to move forward with our border surveillances. At the same time, we need to also understand that we are bordered with Senegal, our neighbor. We need to have a constructive engagement with each other. We cannot do it alone, we need each other. Border crisis can be detrimental, and we are avoiding as much as possible to have any crisis among ourselves, but to sit down as civilized countries, to sit together, empower the communities to use the traditional way of engaging. We bring in our leaders, we bring in our community leaders to come together and sit down and to say we are empowering our youth to surveillance this thing. If you come with your weapon, I come with my weapon, it would be good. Senegal and Gambia are too much for that. We cannot afford to do it. But the reality is, there are infringements on both sides. We have to accept them. And for that matter, all we need to do is to go to the drawing board. After all, not all of us can even reach all the borders. It's just to stay, live and let live. Let us be each other's keeper. History has taught us that. So let us be the militancy that I am seeing and the type of intolerance should be avoided in our empowerment of communities. All that we need to do is to bring them together. After all, land, yes, is very important, very precious, but you cannot cover everything. Even the compound you own, you cannot stand on all the sand. So these are, I'm appealing morally, but when it comes to territorial integrity and dignity, we should set it clear, but it should not be under a conflict situation or under a confrontational situation. We have to use evidence, analysis, discussions, and the treaties to move forward, but not what we are preparing, saying we are giving our youths this, if we are, the youths have been asked. It's good for them to do surveillance. Maybe if people want to steal our cows, because sometimes the young people, whilst I'm sleeping, I would want young people to take care of certain things. I cannot do it. Even if I see them carrying it, I will not risk it. But they are young. How are we going to empower them to be able to engage constructively? This is what I want to say. We have to avoid conflict. Conflict will not take us anywhere. And I appeal. It's an appeal. This government is not taking a confrontational approach. We are taking an approach that is based on sound information and decision making, working in a mutually respectful way to move forward with our countries and to support each other. That's what we need. So this is very important. The security sector reform.
Please, before we proceed any further, can any honorable member, is getting to 6 o'clock, move a motion so that we'll be able to finish today's business? Any, yes, Central Badibu?
Rise to move a motion that we sit beyond 6 o'clock to finish the business.
Konda? Yes, Woolly East, thank you.
Thank you. I rise to second the motion.
Has been moved and seconded that the assembly sits beyond 6 o'clock to complete today's business. Those in favor, please say aye. I cannot. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. Thank you very much. So we can now sit beyond 6 o'clock to complete business of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. It's important. Thank you very much to all of you. I would like to just bring you, because if you look at my response, is the way all of you have been presenting, is the way that I'm trying to respond in terms of the issues. It's a very important model, because all of you were dealing with the same subject and the same topics on the same ministries, but it was coming at different times. Now that it is coming at different times, the notes have been taken, and the issues that you raised, I can only do that in a way, I cannot sequence it logically, but rather the way we have been dealing with it stochastically. I want to read this question, this plea from one of you. It's very important, and I appreciate the person who actually raised the issue. But unfortunately, he is not here. So maybe I'll put it aside. Because if you are raising an issue, I do it for the members. Yes, but also it is important because if he asked for it and he's not here, could say somewhere that I asked this thing, but there was no response. So you know what, I'm trying to throw it back to you, but I will do it for your sake. Yes, thank you. He said, Your Excellency, may I earnestly implore you to consider and influence through the relevant offices under your purview the opening of LUMOS for our rural populace. Madam, our rural populace are suffering in silence, and your intervention in helping to open the LUMOS would go a long way in relieving the situation. Honorable Matarjang Loa Nyomi, but he is not here. So, what I'm trying to say here is that you have heard about the opening of the LUMOS. It is worthy to note that to inform this august body of the constitution of a task force for the opening of all the LUMOS across the country. Work is in progress to achieve this goal. And we are going to ensure that I cannot give you the date because I'm not in the technical committee, but they will come up with the date. You will be surprised. It's going to be a pleasant surprise. You follow the Minister for Health and also the Minister for Justice, the Minister for Education and Trade. They will come up because it's a multifaceted listing. They are putting in all the necessary tools that will protect those who are going to the LUMOS. It will protect the population and how to do the business. We must respect that. I emphasize it again. We must respect it because if we don't, there is going to be a surge. And once a surge comes, the issue is we will fall back to where we start, and we don't want it. So it's all about human behavior and respecting rules and regulations. That's all what we need. We are all sitting here today. Maybe some of us are positive again, you never know. But because we are all in our mask, the possibility of transmission is almost zero. You have been following the news and following scientists. So it's just a question of making sure that we respect the rules, we put on our mask, especially when we are mixing together to make it move. Then in the area of education, there is also a whole cry about a lot of things. And MOPSI has come up with a strategy. They've been calling and asking and actually insulting the ministry. And also, but there is a lot of positive analysis also going on. And I want to tell you that the minister has given me this long listing. I may not read it, but she has given me I've been given the strategy, because the MOPSI strategy for opening the schools, reason for opening schools, strategic objectives, and then strategic considerations have been there. You have the different models to be employed for schools reopening, and all the models are here. It's really innovative approach, and I just want to take a synopsis. School feeding program, school visits, managing the sick, interaction with the schools, water points, ventilation, wearing of masks, regional directorates, cluster monitors, head teachers, parents, and SMCs and mothers club and community. So it's a very comprehensive strategy. They will get to you very soon, and she's going to make that known where it is. So you'll find that the comprehensive strategy is in place. For those of you who are saying what strategy is in place for the opening, the strategy has objectives and takes into account the WHO and Ministry of Health recommendations for the prevention of the spread of the disease. That is social distancing, maximization of the number to 25 people in a class, the hand washing frontiers, face masks will be supplied, schools will be fumigated, different models for allowing the students and for curriculum coverage, full-time model is being considered. The sequencing model also is there, double shifting model is there, alternating model, depending on the context specificity. Maybe what applies in Banjul and the Combos may not apply up-country. So there are different models that have been brought together. The committee is looking at it. The technical people have been working even Sunday. I urge them to work even up to Sunday. So when they come to say, what can you do to increase some resources to help us move forward? Health also is the same thing. Finance, all these bodies are working. NDMA, all of them are coming. They are working, and I have urged them to work even Saturdays and Sundays so that we can beat the time. I want to let you people know that. However, the implementation of the shifting will require a lot of resources to provide for the face masks, hand washing, additional furniture, and additional teacher services. Finally, reopening date depends on the advice of the Ministry of Health, and that's what he is working on. He will give those things. So this is what Ministry of Education has. So if you want, he can send it copies to you for you to take to be guided. Now we are going in still I will talk about issues on women and death. The minister has said, but it cuts across. You have the Ministry of Women, you have the health sector, you have education, you have youth, you have agriculture, you have all sorts of things. Women cut across almost everything. It's a cross-cutting issue. They form over 51% of the population and equally representing the population. What had happened has been happening a long time ago. When I saw the issues raised, it reminded me of the several fights, I call it fights, that we have made to recognize the reproductive health and rights of women, maternal mortality, health, allowing them to make decisions over themselves, to give them the chance to survive and to be able to do, and to also deal with nutritional taboos and so many other taboos that affect their health. So there are so many gamuts of things that are affecting women. And I want to join all the other women and men who have raised these issues to bring it to the public eye and attention. That is the reason why today this address that was made by the Minister of Health is appropriate and raised by all of you. I give credit to everybody in the population for raising the issue, especially those women who also were joined by the young people, men and women, to show the concern. And you have heard the great contribution that the Minister for Health has said. And I want to tell you that this government's primary interest and aim is to promote and improve the health systems so that women's health and all other health as a right. It is a right, it's a human rights issue. It's not something taken for granted. Everything that has to do with reproductive health is a right. And inshallah, a lot of things are going to be done. The statistics speak for itself. There is marked improvement. Maybe with technology, we have captured this one. Maybe there are hundreds who have not been captured. So, but this is a pointer, and I think the whole population should appreciate that the Ministry of Health and this government emphasizes and gives women the prominence that they desire, and we're going to make sure that everything that is possible to move forward. Like the advice was given, there are different gamuts of implications. Attitudes have to change. It has to deal with not only infirmity or disease, it has to do with also attitudes, where you have nutritional taboos, where a woman will be pregnant and they tell the husband, please give your blood to your this, and then he says, no, I can't tell you, man, they do that. We are aware of that, and that has been done for over 30 years. We have been advocating for that. Sometimes we had to go around to look at who can do it. So attitudes have to change. The hospital cannot manufacture blood. It has to get donors, as the minister said. It has to also have a blood bank. To get the bank or the blood bank, you need people who will come in to say, I am here to donate blood, and so on. And indeed, in fact, this is an opportunity to know the status of your health. If you come to donate blood and you are tested, if you are free, then it confirms. If you are HIV positive or any other form of disease, then it gives you the opportunity to respond on time. I went to test myself for COVID, not because I said I have been close to someone who died, and I felt that we were so close in our deliberations, and we've been working. I went and I tested myself. I knew if I did not test myself and know it on time, I would have died, because I am within the critical bracket. I have everything it takes to die. But because timeliness of intervention and the way the positive view I took is what saved me. And I urge people to please try to subject themselves to certain things in order to save their lives or others' lives on time. It's very important. So here I urge our husbands, our brothers, and all other people to donate blood to the hospital. And we cannot keep those blood without putting them through a process. We have to, because you know what the implications are. I would also urge that when women are pregnant, let them give them the opportunity to go, not to say, if my husband does not give me permission, I cannot go. You, the husband, should get up and take that woman to hospital, or get somebody who is strong. The elderly women that you take there sometimes also die on the way because they are old. They cannot. When the woman is in pain, she needs to rest her arm on somebody. When you take her with a very old woman, that one might be so tired, they cannot walk, and you have heard the horrendous stories that the minister said, and these are just a tip of the iceberg. You can never tell the distances. The roads have to be made. We need to get ambulances, not donkey carts. I have always not accepted donkey carts. Motor bicycles cannot be used to carry a woman in labor. You cannot. The roads are bad. So let the motorcycle issue be an economic issue, but not to associate it with the women's health. They need a better treatment. They need vehicles that are well designed. And now I tell you, the Ministry of Health has a lot of ambulances, state of the art, that is there. We will improve our work. We will do everything we can. This government is committed to promoting women's health and give women. That's why you have the Minister for Women's Affairs, Social Welfare. That's why we have a special dedicated institution for it. And we will continue to give those women, 50% of the population or more than that, the support and the attention it needs. Today, we are proud to pass the bill, the Enterprise Development Bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, National Assemblies, members. You've done a great job. Thank you very much. This government is doing a lot. When we bring it here, you look at the population, you look at what is in the best interest of the people. And this is the spirit with which we have to move this Gambia to the next stage. Then we come to, very soon I will stop in terms of this thing, and if you need any questions. The land crisis we've talked about, the downsizing of embassies. Well, I think this is an agenda this government has taken. We already are doing some very prudent accounting reflections. The Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and all the relevant institutions have done assessments. I don't know, there were assessments done by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I don't know whether you saw the assessment or not. But there was an assessment done, and part of the assessment, the strategy is to downsize, because we are looking at our comparative advantage and looking at what is going to bring us dividend rather than spreading everywhere. That was the norm. But like I said, if you start everything, after a while you reflect, you assess, you gauge, and then you try to improve on that. That one is already done. It is going on. You will be surprised to see some people coming back and others going. We're looking at different aspect capacity also. We're looking at the ability to deliver. And all these things are being thought of because we cannot continue to just put somebody there just for the sake of being there. This government is very sensitive to that. We want to make sure that we get the right people, we do the right thing, and we move this country. People come and go, but the institutions will remain. So if the institutions are going to remain, we have to put them in the right pedestal. And that is what this government is doing. So the downsizing of the embassies are going on. If you want to get more information about it, you will get it. It has nothing to do, there is a lot of misinformation going around regarding that. They are downsizing because I'm not this, it's not about that. It is important that the Gambia moves forward and we need to do the right thing to go ahead. Then you come to the issue of those that, you know, this MOPSI has been done. My dear sister, Honorable Ndeye Yassin, the disability bill, very soon you will smile. You have fought for it. I want to congratulate you, and I can see the enthusiasm you showed today in pushing it forward. I think nominating you here is no accident. You deserve it, and you have represented the people of disability very well. We want to say thank you to you and the team, all of you, working closely with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Women, Health, and so on, because there is a long genesis to the bill, and now we are going to actualize it. I want to give credit to all of you and to thank you and to move it forward. It will soon be done. Yes, you raised the issue of what is wrong. You said there's a lot of work going on. But what is wrong is that we don't visit the institutions. Maybe it might have some different connotation. You should visit institutions. One person that I know that comes, the Kantora Nams is always coming to me to discuss about Kantora issues and all the other things that he knows about. And there are people who also are engaged, either by bringing in, sending concerns and so on. I think this is what is needed. It's not politics, it's about the Gambia. Your role is to represent, whoever is in government doesn't matter, but you are representing people. And those people need to know what is going on, and you need to go back and tell them. Don't look at the whole issue as the issue of governance. You are governing, we are governing, you are governing, and there are different forms of governance. Take it, go around, see, engage, and if possible, even if you have any suggestions to do, you can bring it. I know a lot of these National Assembly members sometimes do come. When I was the Minister for Health, I'm sure the Minister of Health also is getting it. I got this letter also from Dinyomi. He also does the same thing. A lot of things they are being, it's the way we engage. And we want to thank all of you to start doing that and not to make allegations. Let us go a bit higher in our deals. Let us go a bit higher in our deals. Deal with the issue. Deal with what are the things. And our ears are there to wait. We will deal with that. Then we have yes, I got some very nice speeches. What is holding us from doing justice? The appeal before us to make efforts to know what is happening. We have been having plans on the way. We are doing, and that we do justice to this country among ourselves, and problems can be solved. I love that. Quite a lot of passionate deliberations. Fonyi Berefet, the speech did not take note of road accidents. Maybe it might have been inadvertently left out, or because of space, then, and the summaries that are being done. But the Minister of this thing might have put it on the report, on the main report. Like I said, reports are sent by different sectors, so we try to summarize, make a synopsis of them. You cannot bring everything, but sometimes it is very detailed. So he will take note of that. We talked about the skill centers, MOHAST, the falling walls of the skill centers. I think there's a lot of work on the way, which I know. You talked about there is also the need for DCD to initiate demand-driven development. Decentralized structures need to be strengthened. The VDCs, the support to local councils needs to be addressed. The environment and climate change, waste management bill to deal with environmental challenges. I think this is one of the most important things. The Gambia is getting to a point where we may be living with the garbage. I think we have to look at the environment. The Environment Ministry is trying to do a lot about that, but also it boils also towards attitudes. How do we manage our own domestic waste? Because first and foremost, you peel your onions, or you remove your dress in a box, or you remove your tie from a nylon bag, and then you just throw it away. We throw away papers. We do all sorts of things. Now we want to make sure that all that thing together, by the time we go, we have flies, we have maggots, we begin to see, and even COVID that could contribute to COVID. Because we are told of ways it can be transmitted through droplets and also on surfaces. And also, it's not even healthy. We may have infections and so on. So I think you have to come together with the Environment Ministry, your villages, your constituencies. Let them each learn innovative ways of how they can manage the waste, and then we start thinking of what technology is there that can translate those to recycling. You know, there's a lot of talking about recycling. You know, I like the Banjul knot analysis. It was quite long, but I think you are giving some practical examples that people can adapt and do, and others, or some of you have done it. So if some of you have done it and are thinking about it, these are ways we come together. How can we do it? It's not the government alone. Because what happens in our houses, in our homes, we are not there to monitor that. But the cumulative effect of the amount of garbage, the Ministry of Environment cannot deal with all that. But it is their duty to provide the enabling environment. What is that? To look for projects that will do recycling, to engage young people who are interested. It's not about talking about young people and you don't know what is their area of interest. It's not about that. It is about how are you going to engage people who have interest in that or have the resources. Then you go to the Ministry of Finance or to trade. You go to agriculture. You can deal with leaves and so on into waste. And we are happy that the Zongai, we all know the Songhai initiative. We also know that a lot of Gambians, young people have been trained there, and some are even appointed by private entrepreneurs who are helping them to deal with those green habits and so on. So there are very many ways of how we deal with these things. In terms of the waste management bill to deal with the environmental challenges, I think it is already almost there. The GRA has been, we talked about, we have improved a lot in the generation of revenue, but of course we are still impacted. And if the Minister of Finance gives you the report, he may be able to give you some analysis. He will be able to tell us how, what are the plans, the mitigation plans, and so on that are in place. I know that he's been guiding us through a very, very positive direction and giving us hope. And if you look at it, he gives the information to you people to decide on what to do. I think I want to thank you for being available for us and looking at ways and means of where revenue will be generated. Let us be patient. There is a lot of work, ourselves and everybody. We have inherited a very difficult context. But since then, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, we are moving through your guidance. We are moving through your guidance, your rigor, your constructive engagement, the efforts that you are doing, proactively working with the subcommittees who are doing all these things in order for us to move. And then we are cooperating. We are doing whatever we can based on the relevant institution to see how can we do. It's not magic. It's all about strategy. It's all about critical thinking. It's all about constructive engagement. And it is all about appreciating each other and recognizing each other to make things move. We can never be the same. And we should not aspire for that. But we want to have a common vision that's moving the Gambia forward and putting in place the instruments that are going to move this country forward. That's what we need. And that's what it has to be, so that we all associate with ourselves. So we will get there. We will get out of it. So I appeal for peace. I appeal for understanding. I appeal for constructive engagement. And we are ready to listen to you to move further. You talked about the fuel dump at Bakote, of course. It's still a big problem. The different institutions, the local government, the Ministry of Land, the mayors, they are trying to do their level best in trying to address these things, working with the government. We need to create that enabling environment for things to be done. And they've been working with the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Land, the Ministry of Health, and all the other relevant ministries to ensure that they come up with plans, and also the private sector. They have to look at ways and means of how the garbage dumps, the fuel dump at Bakote, the Ministry of Energy should be able to talk about. But the garbage and all these dump sites that are there are things that we need to work together to protect the society and ourselves and the future direction and the atmosphere. So the environmental activists should come in to try to support and work around that to ensure that these things are going out. That's the purpose of activism. What you need is to come together, galvanize your efforts to bring attention to a matter so that we all do it, not blaming anybody, but we all call ourselves accountable and do it together. It's very important. Somebody raised that the CRR still does not have a youth center, and they need to have one. Of course, yes, you are right. We will do our best. Let's see how we will move. It cannot be done, but it is a concern. And I think it's a good concern for the young people and for everybody, so that they can reach the people, and they'll be able to stay in their areas, support their parents and themselves, and be part of to be leaders in their communities by learning a skill that will be relevant to them and be relevant to the population. That's a plan of this government. We are going to do that, and we will work with you on that, because it's about human development. Tourism. The Cultural Week has started in Janjanbureh, and I know that Janjanbureh has been known historically with the Tourism Week. We hope that the Tourism Week will not promote harmful traditional practices, but rather traditions that are going to make us claim our history, know where we are going, and not to use this, because we have been engaged with you on that, and it's about health and life, certain practices. So these are the things that we need to consider. I think the YAP project and also the Ministry of Tourism, including other ministries, are working. You said you have not seen anything for post-COVID-19 pandemic, but now I have given you few strategies that are there, and it is coming from all different, a lot of ministries are preparing. You will get it from, when the report is ready, we will share it with you. And then we cannot do it without you. You will work, the relevant ministries have been told, once they are doing that, they have to share it with the relevant subcommittees, so that you will also bring in your own vision, because at the end of the day, whatever we need is going to come here. So if you are well informed and you are part of the process, like it has been witnessed by some of you who talked about the work that the Ministry of Health, Fisheries, and other education, and all the other ministries that they are working on, agriculture, if you are part of it, you stand to validate. And that's the most important thing. You assist. I love that word. I'm just looking at what is not necessary to emphasize here and then move, because I've been addressing these things holistically. Agriculture, education, The only thing that they have talked about in education is a think tank was suggested to be discussed and to come up as to when the schools will open. But we will still work forward. You take note of that and to inform them, use the radio, send them this thing is going to be circulated, I believe, and then make sure you give any other information that is necessary so that they know what is in place. The transport infrastructure, we have been told, is inadequate, ineffective. People stand for long hours waiting for transport. The GPTC was making transportation easy. That money needs to be plowed back in the industry. When are we going to help our people stop crying for transport? There is a lot of plans that are on the way. I think the Minister for Works and Transportation is here. The best practices are quite evident and we have experienced them. The people, still now that the roads have been made and we continue to make the roads, it's not enough. The Gambia, the plan is to connect everywhere. Within an hour, if you want to move, you can move anytime. And the process is going as you have seen the evidence. But then we also need, when the roads are there, we need the facilities to go from point A to B. That one also is part of the strategic plan. There is also the issue of environmental disease. Somebody brought in a very creative suggestion that we need trees and so on. There is a lot of planting, so the environment minister has taken note of, and there will be plans to work with our partners and with Gambians, because if we make our seedlings, if mangoes are the best things that we need, we put them. If it is cashew, we put them. If it is eucalyptus, whatever plant that we think is going to be good for the region and where the roads are, we try to do it, beautify it and do it. It's our duty and we will all do it together. Well, the issue of access to radio is a problem for some of them. I think it was the analysis that was done on the education when we had to respond and to see how were the creative ways that we are going to move in terms of accessing and continued education. We are happy to say that quite a number of hundreds of radios were given to schools. And these radios were used to help the children because sometimes access to internet is not there. So context specificity, again, is what we need to think about. In my home, the children who are not going to school had access to internet and were taking their lessons. But in my home in Kaur, they don't have it. So what is it? They need a radio and telephone for us to tell them what to do. So those context specificity, but we are trying to work hard to see, because every child has a right to be educated. But our circumstances are different, and we need to understand that so that we know. Even if we give internet and we don't have the infrastructure, how is it going to work? But you've had, the Minister for Information is working on this and trying to see how best we can move on with the thing. Is that you want to cite what is in the speech? We feel inspired and need to support each other to go forward. The issue of the fertilizer, the Honorable Member for Nyani talked about the SONA, and to clear the doubts and clarify statements, agriculture page 31, the fertilizer type and where and fertilizer was sold and was very difficult for farmers to get it. Now, these are lessons that we have had a lot of positive things. We have also had the challenges, and these are realities. Others, people have talked about that. It's a normal procedural matter. We are learning from those challenges. A lot of people have received fertilizers. A lot appreciate them, and we have heard them being said over the radio. We've also heard them talking about the challenges over the radio, and we have also been hearing from our people up and down. But on the whole, it has done quite a lot, and we are going to take care of these challenges next rainy season to ensure that these things, you have been told that by April, fertilizers will come to this country. It was here. Now, the distribution started all the way, but maybe there are certain places that it did not reach on time probably, or certain things, and you also gave some very creative ways to say, can we give it to certain centers where the people have access to, can easily get it and move forward. So it means agriculture will have to sit down with the Ministry of Trade and whoever finance to find out ways and how these things can be distributed to move it forward. But these are all well taken, and This government is here to make life easy for everybody. Yes, we talked about the need to get the support on time to be fast-tracked so that the vulnerable farmers would get them. The sugar and other remaining rice have been removed and so on. All these things. Ministry of Health also has been discussed. Everybody generally recognized and appreciated the introductory speech and the final conclusion of the speech. I think this is very, very positive. This is not a report, but an address and a statement that is giving out. But we recognize the challenges, and we will improve on them next time. COVID has cut across almost everything that everybody spoke about. So I think you recognize the context very well, that COVID is overriding a lot of these things. And of course, within COVID, we have to navigate. We cannot go out, we cannot just leave things to stop. It cannot stop. Life must go on. We have to navigate. We have to plan. We have to see how best we can navigate around that. And these are the strategies you all have given us. And together we can make it. I think we will move forward with them. They are almost there. Some of you have asked that you need a clarification from the minister why His Excellency failed to wear a mask. As far as I see, His Excellency wore the mask to enter here. I saw it. He was unmasked. It was when he was coming to speak that he removed the mask, and he was socially distanced. He was far from anybody, and sometimes not everybody can talk under the mask because of maybe circumstances. But he had the mask when he came in, and when he started talking, he put it aside, but was not near anything, was not a threat to anybody because the required regulations and the social distancing was quite apparent. So this is to make it clear. There are some procedural issues that we are called to accountability for in terms of the spirit of what needs to be done, and I think it's good. We are constantly learning about this standing order, the Constitution, and so on. This way, repeating it and reminding each other is also another form of education for all of us, and also calling us to accountability. That's fine. One of the this thing I talked about the transitional and not transnational. And it is not transitional, it is transnational, but I guess that one is understood. He talked about the importance of community policing. We all agree with that in regards to porous borders, but we must be careful of let's not take the law into our hands. This is a rules-based democracy. We must live the tenets of what we profess. And let us remind ourselves on a daily basis that since we are in this democracy and it's rules-based, it's about rights, it's about following procedures, whilst we are doing community policing, law and order is in the hands of the police under Interior. Wherever community policing is being done, you have a police and a person, a civilian, who can work together to support each other and to discuss matters that are within the community so that they can help to come up with strategies to deal with it. So let us not take the law in our hands. The Gambia, is being ranked as, I guess, the 12th or 10th peaceful country in the world, or in Africa. I can't remember the source. But we must try to safeguard that. If it were not because of the way we do things, how can we be ranked at that level? So I would urge, whilst we take our do and respond to certain things, let us follow the due process, let us respect rules, let us respect regulations, and let us not develop that mob attitude. It will not help us. It will not promote peace in our country. And once people feel that there is no peace, business will halt, people will not invest. A lot of things will not come in this place because it is not a safe environment. Doing business may be taking us down. So I also want to thank those people who are working with the Minister of Trade to help us improve our business environment. With all the ministers who are here, I think these are very important things for us to do so that we give Gambia the Gambian flag to arrive during our time, your time, to be proud of what we have achieved. I think it's very important. You talked about Sare Musa youths. We talked about the police that cannot do all that. So the citizens should be given education. Yes, they should be educated. They need to be brought together. We need a civilized society. We need a society where the police, the security, civilian, and all of us can come together and deal with issues in a manner that is professional, ethically, and morally acceptable so that we live in a peaceful and safe environment. And we already know this is the week of peace. So I am emphasizing peace because it's very important that we know. We talked about the inadequacy of the army camp in Basse that are actually suffering from lack of transport. They don't have any patrol for these things. I think this is a cause for concern. It has been brought to the attention of the COVID committee by the Interior Minister, and we are doing all we can to do. Again, it is echoed. We want to validate it. We will do what we can to move forward with it. And it is our duty to strengthen our institutions to be able to respond to this pandemic. Yes, I agree with you also. With regards to the Office of the Vice President, we have to develop a plan that will mitigate disaster and not to wait until we find ourselves in disaster to say we're going to respond. I agree with you absolutely. That plan is now being prepared. We have a multi-sectoral committee, and they will come to meet up with the subcommittee. They are working on that. Already, a consultant has been brought under the National Disaster Management Agency because we're talking about ownership. He's working, he's been given an office there. It's not under the UN, it's under us. But the UN is supporting us, and other resources are being brought in by finance so that we work together to ensure that this plan will be put together, and then that institutional relevance and ownership will be there. So a lot of reforms are going on. And I agree with you, but I cannot but agree with you that we need to have that type of this thing and so on. We talked about okay, they said you are calling on the executive to call our attention to improve the practice of COVID conflict resolution and management, making use of the different scenario and all the cultural and traditional ways that we have inherited that are positive, to be able to organize a day where the Jarankas and these things are going to work together. And these are best practices we try to do, and I think the relevant ministers should take use of using culturally relevant strategies to deal with conflict in our communities, which I accept very much. Your case was a very good explanation. Higher education. I wanted to take time to clear this because it's very important as assembly members. This is not to underscore your understanding, but then the interpretation was a little bit not understood by the member. They said Gambia College produces more human capital, but put under the purview of MOHAST, the Minister of Higher Education and so on. Yes, all educational institutions are under the poverty. Higher education are under the poverty of, under the purview of MOHAST, Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. That is the institution that is responsible for looking at all the aspects of tertiary education. So all these institutions that were named, GTTI, MDI, RDI, and so on, are higher education institutions, and therefore under them. And what the ministry is trying to do is to try and consolidate. Of course, I understand the misplaced dimensions that was observed. Ways of